Okay guys, welcome to the MatterFi pitch for DNA Fund. Super excited to be here. I am Michał. I am, last name is Pospieszalski. I don't expect you to spell that. It's 13 letters long. I'm an expat from Poland, but I've been here for, almost 4 decades now. And I've been a hacker for my whole life. And I just got tired of people breaking into other people's stuff, especially in the digital asset industry where theft and fraud is like normal. Hey, like today I lost X million. Oh yeah, no, sorry buddy, that's just normal. That's just how it goes all the time, every day. On a bad day, it's like billions like FTX or well, what became billions at Mt. Gox. But on a regular day, regular people get frauded for like, 75,000 and I hear these stories all the time. It's just really personally frustrating for me. So I invented, along with my team, the MatterFi technology, which largely solves this problem to an incredible degree, makes it super easy to use, and we're about to get into that and what we're doing with DNA Fund on this project. So what is MatterFi? It's easy to use fintech infrastructure that's making finance more secure for both humans and AI, and as you'll see in a second, there's a really big AI component to this that's really cool. And what do? We develop new security infrastructure for software wallets, hardware wallets, AI agents, and custody systems to create safety, accessibility, and trust, because what we have in the industry today is none of that. If you're not a crypto expert, you're generally not in the industry, or you bought an ETF, or your crypto's at Robinhood or whatever, but the people that self-custody are generally technical experts, or more expert than the average user can ever be expected to be. And they still get frauded. So that's the problem I'm here to solve. Today's DeFi and custody solutions are, as you know, not really compliant with rules and regulations, because you have to do all this manual tracking to even be able to tell like where this crypto came from. So the governments and the regulators are really struggling with like, how do we regulate this industry in a way that keeps it decentralized, because we love the economic benefits, but at the same time, makes it so that the rules can actually be followed, right? It's obviously hard to use and access because people have to understand addressing, and there's a different address on every chain, and if you get the address wrong, you lose all the money. So, I'm scared, I don't want to do it. And it's vulnerable to a ton of different attacks, the chief being phishing and these endless social media manipulations where you are tricked to sending your crypto to an attacker's address. So, and all this stuff actually makes it even worse when you're talking about AI agents, because AI agents have to know who the counterparty is. Like, what's the robot gonna do? Get on Telegram, be like, bro, what's your receive address? It has to have an infallible way of knowing who the counterparty is with 100% certainty every time. And there can't be some central authority that's keeping track of everybody's receive addresses, because now that central authority has the power to know what everybody's doing, and they also the power to potentially change addresses and steal money, and it's all terrible. So we are solving a huge problem in the AI space. And then what's the core issue here? Like if there was one thing I had to say that makes it such that this is the reason why all these things are happening, it's because there's no off-chain cryptographic proofs. And we'll get to what those are in a second. But because there's no off-chain cryptographic proofs, every solution in the blockchain space tends to have its own company trying to solve its one problem, right? So you have like your exchange businesses, then you have your businesses that pay wages in crypto, then you have your other businesses that'll issue like a digital asset as a security, for example, on chain. And there's a reason for why you keep having these separate verticals, because there is no one system that can do it all. And to build that one system, you have to have a system of off-chain cryptographic proofs, that's just like you have to have a system of on-chain cryptographic proofs. So what's an off-chain cryptographic proof, you might ask? Well, in Bitcoin, when you transfer money, it goes to the miner instantly knows that's your money because you got a cryptographic proof. So imagine that we were doing that exact same thing for all transactions, whether they're on-chain or off-chain or in DeFi, everything's a cryptographic proof. So when you're interacting with a custody system, it's still a cryptographic proof. I'll show you the architecture of that in a second. So the other thing we have is this hack-proof AI agent infrastructure, where we have AI agents running autonomously on your own machine, and they use the send to name tech. So for example, you can tell the AI, hey, send money to Michał. If you're gonna do something unsafe, it tells you, and the eventual goal here is to build a library of prompts that exist in open source, essentially, and users can exchange those prompts, and those prompts do useful financial instruments, like say, tell me what the current best Token is to buy today for a return within 3 months. Where should I get it? And now what we want the agent to do is after they gives you that advice, you can tell it, okay, go ahead and do that. And through our wallets and our custody system, voila, it goes ahead and does that, right? So what we make, Matter Wallet, which is a wallet. Now, you should definitely watch the Swiss Fortress presentation because that is one of our clients that shows you exactly how the send-to-name wallet works. Right? There's also an AI agent that we're going to be releasing for Swiss Fortress as well, where you can just use your wallet as easily as talking to a chatbot. It's an autonomous chatbot that just runs on your machine, but it's connecting to the world. So the current version of this that we have has over 70 outside tools. So it has all the world's intelligence at its disposal. Meanwhile, the thing that is controlling your wallet is only running on your machine, which is really the only safe way to do it. Right? The other thing we make is the Matter node system, which is custody. And the other thing we make is the hardware wallet cards. And the third thing we make is obviously the hardware wallet card, which is made by partnership with Samsung Tangjam and ourselves. So this is for one of our clients, Space Dogs. You can see in the corner, it's powered by MatterFi. This is a tap to your phone hardware wallet, which in my opinion is probably the most secure hardware wallet you can have because phones are extremely impervious to penetration these days, way more so than a PC. I trust this setup. Nice catch, right? I trust this setup more than I trust Trezor or Ledger because Trezor and Ledgers can be exposed to signing things inadvertently if there is malware on your PC. So we white label this as well. All this stuff is available via white label at MatterFi. Big news to this group of people is that one of our biggest clients is Brinks Global. Partners, clients. So why would Brinks Global engage a digital custody company? Well, they are currently, so first of all, if you don't know, it's the same guys that drive the armored cars around. So if you see a Brinks armored car around, you're seeing a little tiny bit of MatterFi in there too, somewhere, right? Because they're physical custodians and they have this incredible network of secret vaults throughout the world in every major fintech city. There's usually multiple vaults in every city. And obviously, these are great places to actually store digital assets if the hardware security modules for those digital assets are in these vaults. So we now have our own special vault, and we are in the process of installing our custody system there, and it will be available as a SaaS offering through Brinks and ourselves to our end users. And essentially, it's a Fireblocks competitor, except offered in joint partnership with a company that's 165 years old, which this year in 2024 did over $5 billion in revenue. And they want to expand into digital custody. So we are the first decentralized private AI agent for secure crypto transactions. So Competitive Matrix, we're a software wallet company, we're institutional custody, we're names, we're chat, and we're AI agents. The reason we're all those things is you have to have all those things built together to work seamlessly and create this user experience where you have this amazing, hey, I just want to chat to my chatbot and send crypto to other people and not get frauded. So before we get into the business specifics and what the investment pitch is, let me just talk a little bit about custody. So now I'm in the appendix of the deck in typicals. Now I'm in the appendix of the deck looking at the typical custody deployment slide where you see how custody works today. So simple example is you go to Coinbase and you do a little Web3 authentication, right? And they're like, all right, deposit money, here's the address, connect your wallet to this address. How do you know that's really their address? The answer is you don't. That's why they 2FA you 100 million times and people still get fooled to go to fake websites and give money to attackers. Same thing happens in DeFi all the time. In fact, if you look at the news, every other week there's some guy, oh, I lost 55 million because I assigned my DeFi assets to the wrong address, right? So this address vulnerability is a huge problem in the space because it creates so much opportunity for theft and fraud. It also happens in reverse. So say somebody SIM hacks your phone, they change your username and password, they log into your Coinbase and they're like, hey, I want to withdraw some money, and they give a receive address. How does Coinbase know that's really your receive address? And the answer is they don't, which was what makes this attack possible. Right? So this is how millions of dollars get stolen every single day, and the entire most of the hacking industry, like these automated drainer bots, this is exactly what they do. A drainer bot is just a thing that sets up a fake website, imitates somebody. You know, the victim clicks on a link, thinks they're going to Wells Fargo or whatever, and they're actually going to the attacker's website and sending money to some evil address that just drains them, right? That's what a drainer is. It's gotten to the point where now there's drainers as a service, right? It's an entire industry of people that are just like shamelessly robbing good users of all their funds, and I personally am super tired of it, right? So, but that's not the only way that money gets stolen from custody. The other way is on the back end, right? So recently there have been a number of numerous hacks where, say, the developers of a project, their multi-sig keys got compromised. Now, why would you need those keys sitting somewhere where they can be compromised? Well, because today, if you're using a custody system, you have to have people signing those transactions to process withdrawals. Right, so there has to be some guys that say 2 out of 3 sign this transaction to process withdrawals. But what if there was a system that made none of this possible? And that's exactly what we built at MatterFi. So I'm going to show it to you here in a second. This is our custody system. This is what we're deploying to Brinks. And the user experience is very simple. You send to the custody system, and it's got a name, and it's got KYC. You're 100% sure you're sending to the right place. The funds get deposited into a multi-sig pool of hardware security modules. But now the difference is those hardware security modules understand our off-chain protocol based on cryptographic proofs. What does that mean? Instead of the money being randomly manipulated by the backend in some arbitrary way by people, your wallet can control the funds off-chain just like it can control the funds on-chain. So if you want to transfer money instantly to another user, you tap your hardware card. And this is one of our patents, one of our many patent pending features. Our first patent is about to be granted, looks like, based on our conversation with the patent examiner. We have 9 filed. We're probably going to file another 9 more at MatterFi. MatterFi is the sole owner of all this IP. We just license it out to people, to other customers. So the point of step 2 here in this slide is that you can now do an off-chain transfer the same way you did an on-chain transfer. So what does this mean? There is no username and password at all. It just doesn't exist. There's no 2FA. There doesn't even have to be a website. It's just tap to transfer to another user or do a bid ask. And we code all this in right into our wallets. And we have an entire library of off-chain financial instruments that make the off-chain stuff almost exactly the same as Bitcoin. So think of it as centralized, decentralized in a sense, right? Now, the real magic happens when you do withdrawals. Because obviously in step 3, you want to withdraw. Now, normally you would just give the custody system your address, right? But in our case, the custody system automatically knows how to compute your address based on your name, right? So it can't get it wrong, and there's no opportunity for an attacker to get it wrong. So in like our system, if a guy steals the phone with a MatterFi wallet and there's some funds in custody and they hit withdraw, it'll just go back to the user. It won't go back to the attacker, even though the attacker has their phone. Now, if they have their phone and they also have a hardware wallet, they can now spend the money elsewhere, but you get my point. The point is we solve one of the huge attack vectors here with withdrawals. Now, there's another attack vector that we solve that you may have not thought of. Well, on the back end, normally, to get that withdrawal, 2 people would have to, say 2 out of 3, would have to whip out their keys and sign something, right? And at big enterprises, this happens to the tune of hundreds to thousands of times a day, and there's entire infrastructure around that. And attackers have recently been exploiting that. And those people that have those keys can also become insiders and say, hey, I want a bonus today. Yo, bro, let's steal the money, right? In our system, that doesn't need to happen because the HSM that has the keys understands the withdrawal request directly from the user. It sees the cryptographic proof. It just authorizes it automatically. Now it can ask an external user for permission if this is okay, say it's over 10,000, but that user does not have to have the keys to the money. So in our system, you have backup keys to HSMs, but they're sitting in cold storage and they're only used when you're loading new firmware or you're restoring a server. So those are way harder to get to than hotkeys that are being used every day to process all these withdrawals. So if you want to see what the entire ecosystem looks like, that's on this slide, how it works. We've got the send to name services, interacting with price discovery, atomic swaps, DeFi, KYC providers to create the KYC. Please watch the Swiss Fortress presentation. You'll see how the KYC works. So it's a universal identity for all of crypto as well. And then you have AI agents running on top of that. Now the AI agents can discover each other and transact automatically. And that can be with either self-hosted or SaaS custody systems. So let's jump right back into the business side of this to wrap this up. So why are we doing this today? Well, obviously because the whole world's going to digital assets. The whole world's going to AI, and the AI needs fintech. and things need to be still regulated to some degree in a way that makes sense. So we believe we've come up with the ultimate solution to solve all these problems. And so far, our market response seems to confirm that suspicion. The market size is really all of computing. We think in the next 2 years, we'll take down some portion of our $100 million SOM. And you can see that in our projections. Our roadmap so far is we've raised almost $5 million today across 2 rounds. One was at 20, one was at 30. We now started to collect the funds at the beginning of the Series A. So the Series A is split into 2 phases. The first 3 million is a 50% discount to the 200 million target at 100 million. And then we're going to raise the other 17. The funds at that 100 million have already started to hit our bank accounts from various investors. They're both new and guys that are basically topping off from previous rounds, which is fantastic. We've got now over 10 clients. A lot of them I can't mention yet because they're not letting me talk about it publicly. Brinks, for example, you guys know about it because you're on this call. They've allowed us to share that information with our investors. They have not allowed us to share it publicly yet in the sense of a press release, but when the machines are installed in the vault and that tech is now available in alpha form in next quarter, Q1 of 2025, then there will be a public press release. So what we're doing right now is we're doing our Series A, and we are raising these funds to essentially take everything to production. So if you go to SwissFortress.com, you can download the beta, and that wallet is very close to the production final. The goal is to have everything in production Q1 2025, which would mean production mobile wallet, production desktop wallet, production hardware wallet that goes with both of those, and then a custody beta. And if we really move fast, perhaps the custody production, and obviously the AI agents, which are also making rapid progress right now as an autonomous AI agent that runs on your own machine. So what's our business model at MatterFi? We license all this tech, right? So for the wallets, we generally have integration fees where we create a wallet for somebody. The wallet is also available as an API, and then we JV on the names, right? So if a end user buys a name, then MatterFi gets 75% of that, and the person that sold the name, it's 25% of that, and we use that revenue to continue to to run the chains that make this possible, right? On the custody side, it's the same pricing as essentially Fireblocks. It's assets under management in out on top of setup fees. The hardware wallets, that's a really easy business model. We sell those for 1,000 units at a time for $14 each. So what's our go-to-market? We have big partners. We have big KOLs. KOLs currently helping on launches, for example, for Swiss Fortress is Adrian from Burb's Nest, obviously DNA Fund, Michael Turpin, and there are some other big names that we're getting on that project as well. And then we have a referral program where one client refers to another. That's been extremely productive for us as well. So right now we have both enterprise clients. Like one would be that I can talk about would be Equibank, Brad Yassar's project, enterprise and smaller crypto projects that are either signed or in the pipeline. Our financials. So far we've done over $1 million in cash revenue. We've got almost $2.5 million, I would say, of accounts receivable that are coming in revenue on top of all the funds that we're raising. So the financial situation is pretty good. Obviously happy to have DNA on board helping with this round. And let's talk about the investment and what you get. So the goal of this round is to raise 20 million overall. And this first bit that DNA Fund is participating on the equity side, it's a $100 million pre-money valuation. And you also get a token kicker. So now you might ask, what's the relationship between Swiss Fortress and MatterFi? And how does the token kicker work? And how is it that we're doing all that? So Swiss Fortress is a MatterFi client. A year and a half ago, when I was starting this project, I was kind of faced with a choice of, okay, we need someplace to run the infrastructure. And I was nervous about running it out of America because I didn't know who the administration was. And like, if you're running a wallet out of America, yeah, technically it's legal, but we don't really know, right? Like Gary Gensler was just going around sniping this project and sniping that project and sniping this other project, but this other project was okay. So what we did is we took one of our clients, which happens to be run by one of our major MatterFi investors, Amir Vahora, who's the CEO of Swiss Fortress, and we created this wallet called Swiss Fortress. And we licensed the tech to run the chain that makes this possible, Fortress Coin, to Swiss Fortress. Now, why is there a chain? Well, you need a chain to store the metadata that makes this send to name address computation possible without having to have a centralized database of addresses, right? But we did a very special deal there, right? MatterFi is doing all the tech work for Swiss Fortress, so that comes back as revenue. So roughly half of the token revenue from the Swiss Fortress coin launch is coming straight back to MatterFi as revenue. Guess what that does for our valuation, our bottom line? It's freaking fantastic. And the other thing that we have done with Swiss Fortress is we get 25% of the gross revenue of the name sales at Swiss Fortress. So we have this extremely beneficial relationship that's very unique between MatterFi and Swiss Fortress. However, Swiss Fortress is a separate entity. So which one do you invest in, right? Well, if you like tokens short term and you like faster return, then Swiss Fortress is the way to go. Me, I'm not attached to either one because either one MatterFi benefits greatly, right? And the question that came up recently and has sort of come up with our investors in the past is, okay, well, will there ever be a MatterFi token? Well, the answer to that question right now is I don't know, because yes, I do want another copy of the infrastructure running out of America. That's my ideal, because then I have two, I have extra redundancy. So the users are happier, the infrastructure is happier, and the infrastructure is even stronger than it was if there's only one infra project. There will never be more than two, but I'd love to do one in America. So if Trump goes and deregulates things as he says, we will also do a token potentially, like I say, I would call it the if token because it's a big if. We will do that later in 2025 after the Fortress coin launch, which is why as part of the MatterFi equity, there's also a token rider. So basically to decide which one you want is, do you like equity? That's generally a little safer than tokens. And you also get a token rider for the future. I'm gonna call it the if MatterFi token. Or do you like, a shorter term return at Swiss Fortress? From my point of view, it's just your preference. I'm not wed to either one. Either one makes us succeed. Either one supports the ecosystem so that I'm not wed to either one. Either one makes us succeed. Either one supports the ecosystem so that users worldwide all have an incredible experience.